My name is Renata Josephine Alcott, and my family had one word for me: leftover. Not out loud, never out loud, but in the way they talked around me, at dinners, in the way they explained me to strangers. That's Claudette's girl. Mama's raising her. Like I was something that had been set on a shelf, and somebody was kind enough not to throw it away. Grandma Iris never made me feel that way. Not once. Not for a single day in 27 years. She raised me from age 7. Her kitchen, her garden, her voice every morning telling me, "Drink your water before your coffee, baby." Have you ever had one person who looked at you like you were the whole point? Not a burden, not a project, the whole point. That was Iris to me. She passed away 2 years ago, 79 years old. Went quietly in her own bed, the way she always said she wanted to. And before I'd even stopped crying, they came. Iris had 3 biological children. My mother Claudette, who loved her own grief more than she loved me. My uncle Dennis, who loved money more than he loved anything. And my Aunt Vivian, who loved being seen more than she loved being real. Vivian ran things. She organized the repast. She picked the flowers. She stood at the front of the church dabbing her eyes with a white handkerchief, while people told her what a devoted daughter she was. I watched her receive that, and I felt something cold move through me, because I knew the last time Vivian had sat with Iris, really sat with her, was 18 months before she died. I was there every Sunday. I know exactly how long it had been. She started moving things out of the house before the burial. Small things first. A lamp, a mirror, the ceramic dish by the front door. That had been there since before I was born. I haven't spoken yet. I was watching. Then I came by on a Tuesday, and the quilt was gone. I need you to hear me when I say this. That quilt was not furniture. Iris made it the year I was born. She told me where every single piece came from: a dress she wore to my grandfather's funeral, a shirt he never let her throw away, a scrap of curtain from the house she grew up in that burned down when she was 12. She stitched 60 years of living into something I could put my hands on. And Vivian took it. Have you ever had something stolen from you that the law wouldn't even call theft? Because it didn't have a price tag. That's the kind of loss that doesn't have a courtroom. It just has you, standing in a room where something used to be, feeling the shape of what's missing. I stood there for a long time. Then I looked down. The Bible was still on the side table. Her notes are still in the margins. Her name written on the inside cover, in the careful letters of a woman who taught herself to read at 30. And underneath the Bible, a small wooden box, one I had never seen before. I didn't open it there. I took it home. I set it on my kitchen table. I made coffee. I sat down, and I lifted the latch. Inside were 12 notebooks. Small ones, the kind you buy at a drugstore, spiral bound. Her handwriting on every page. I thought they were journals. They weren't journals. Dates, names, numbers, conversations written down word for word. Dennis borrowing $4,000 in 2011, and the excuses she recorded each time she asked for it back. Vivian in 2016, sitting across from Iris at this same kitchen table, sliding a document across it, telling her it was a form for the church building fund. Iris wrote it all down. Every word Vivian said. Every word she said back. And then what she did afterward. She made copies of that document. They were folded into the back of Notebook 7. I sat at that table until 2 in the morning. I didn't call anyone. I didn't text anyone. I didn't post a single word. I just read. And somewhere around Notebook 9, I had to stop. I put my hands flat on the table. I pressed them down hard. I breathed. Because what I was holding wasn't just betrayal. It was my grandmother, alone in this kitchen, writing everything down, knowing she couldn't fight them herself anymore, and deciding that I could. Do you understand what that feels like? To realize the person you loved most spent years quietly building you a case because she trusted you more than she feared them. She knew this was coming. She'd known for years. And she chose me. Again. I called Patricia Osei the next morning, estate attorney, 22 years in practice. She came recommended by my neighbor Dolores, the only person outside this family who'd watched all of it and never looked away. Patricia read through 4 notebooks before she set them down, and looked at me. She said, "Renata, she documented everything." I said, "I know." She said, "No, I mean everything. We moved carefully. We didn't rush. Iris had taught me that too. The will was already filed. Iris had updated it 8 months before she passed. The house, and everything inside it, to Renata Josephine Alcott. Not split, not divided, not subject to discussion. Mine. Vivian didn't know that yet. She was still running the family group chat, still coordinating who got the dining set, still telling people she was holding everything together. For the sake of her mother's memory, I let her run it for 3 weeks. Then Patricia sent the letter. I wasn't there when Vivian read it, but I heard about it from Marcus, Vivian's youngest son, who called me that same night. Marcus had always been her shadow, quiet, loyal, never asked questions because the answers might cost him something. He called, and the first thing he said was, "Renata, is this real?" I told him it was. He went quiet. The kind of quiet that means something is shifting inside a person that can't be shifted back. Then he said, "She used to tell me you were jealous of this family." I didn't say anything. He said, "I believed her." Have you ever watched someone see a person clearly for the first time, and feel the weight of all the years have they spent seeing them wrong? It doesn't look like anger. It looks like grief. Marcus grieved on that phone call. I let him. Dennis went completely silent. Changed his number eventually. Vivian called my mother. Then she called the pastor. Then she called 2 cousins and told them I had manipulated a dying woman. But the notebooks existed. And Vivian didn't have an answer for 12 notebooks written in her own mother's hand. The people she called, they came back to me with questions, not accusations. Questions. That's how you know something is over. When the people your villain runs to start quietly walking toward you instead. We didn't go to trial. Their lawyer called Patricia 6 weeks after the letter was sent. I wasn't on that call, but Patricia told me about it afterward. She said their lawyer's whole position shifted in the first 10 minutes. Because Patricia read him one paragraph from Notebook 7. Just one. The date. The document. Every word Vivian said to get Iris to sign it. And then the last line Iris wrote. I signed it because I was tired, and my eyes hurt, and I didn't want to fight anymore. I am writing this down so that when I am gone, the truth is still somewhere. Their lawyer went quiet. Then he said they'd like to discuss a resolution. There was no resolution to discuss. The document Vivian had Iris sign, it had no legal standing. The will was clear. The house was mine. And the notebooks were evidence of 12 years of behavior that nobody wanted in front of a judge. It was over in the room before it started. I need to tell you about the moment I almost didn't make it through. It wasn't the legal part. The legal part one could handle. It was a Thursday afternoon sitting alone in this house, the week after everything was settled, holding Notebook 3. In Notebook 3, Iris writes about a Sunday when I was 19. I'd come for dinner. I was going through something. I hadn't told her about it. She writes, Renata seemed far away today. I didn't ask. Sometimes you love someone best by giving them room to come back. I sat on her kitchen floor with that notebook in my lap, and I came completely apart. Not because of what they did, because of who she was. Because she was still teaching me from a spiral notebook bought at a drugstore, written in the careful hand of a woman who taught herself to read at 30. I pressed my hands flat on that floor. I breathed, and I kept going. Because that's what she taught me. The house is mine now. I didn't change much. Her garden is still there. The ceramic dish is back by the front door. Marcus found it at his mother's and brought it to me himself. He asked if he could come on Sundays. I said yes. He comes every week now. We drink coffee in her kitchen. We don't talk about Vivian much. We talk about Iris. He told me once, she used to talk about you different than she talked about everyone else. I asked him what he meant. He said, like you were hers. I was. Vivian still lives nearby. I still go to the same church. I'm told she still tells people she was the one who kept the family together after her mother passed. I don't correct it. The people who were there already know. And the people who weren't, they don't need to. Dennis sent a card at Christmas. No note. Just his name. I set it on the counter. Then I threw it away. The quilt never came back. That one still sits with me sometimes. Not in anger, just in knowing. There are things that get taken that can't be returned. But I have the notebooks, all 12 of them, in a box on the shelf above her Bible. and every year on her birthday, I sit in her chair by the window, and I read. People ask me if I'm angry. I tell them the truth. I was, for a while, the kind of angry that lives in the body, that wakes you up at 3 in the morning with your jaw tight and your hands in fists. But anger is loud. And Iris was never loud. She was patient. She was careful. She wrote things down in small notebooks. And she waited for the right person to put them in the right hands. She waited for me. If you're in something like this right now, if someone in your family is holding something that was never theirs, I'm not going to tell you it moves fast. I'm going to tell you what she taught me. Press your hands flat, breathe, and write it down. If someone in your life needs to hear this, don't send it to them as a message. Sit with them while they listen. That's how she would have done it. And if you've lived something like this, I want to know. Tell me in the comments what it felt like the moment you finally had proof. I'll be back. There are more of us out here than people know. And every one of these stories deserves to be told by the person who survived it. She knew exactly what she was doing when she gave them to me. She always did.